We got a couple of guests here, so thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for the invite, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So maybe we'll just start with, if you could each just introduce yourselves, and then we'll kind of get into a bit of the conversation.
Sure. So my name is Dr. Agatha Ojimelukwe. I am a portfolio manager of the Energy and Environment Training area in Industry Solutions at the Northern Alberta Institute of Technology.
Right. And so for us here in the Edmonton region, NAIT is kind of the acronym that we use for the Northern Alberta Northern Alberta Institute of Technology. Most people won't know that it's actually Canada's largest training school, so especially for apprenticeships, it's just absolutely huge. So can you give maybe just a touch of background on what NAIT is, how big it is, the types of programs that you offer?
Wow. So NAIT is one of the largest polytechnics in Canada, and we have over 38,000 students in our institution, both non-credit and credit programs, and NAIT is very industry focused. So it's a polytechnic, so most of our trainings are hands-on, focused on industry. So, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And Rod, let's hear about First Truck.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I'm Rod Graham. I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer of First Truck. First Truck has been around for more than 30 years. Very proud Edmonton headquartered truck business. Daimler Truck North America is kind of largest operation with 12 physical locations across Western Canada. And so very prideful to be running this. But in a prior life, I was a private equity fellow.
Oh, wow.
So I lived through the energy business, the hydrogen business back 20 years ago. And so part of what you're going to hear and where First Truck is going is literally born out of that experience from 20 years ago and how we think that we can fit into the ecosystem as a very different type of truck dealership going forward.
Okay, that's fantastic. So one of the things we did yesterday, the whole Edmonton metropolitan region launched the 5,000 Hydrogen Vehicle Challenge, which you're both part of. And that's to get 5,000 hydrogen-fueled vehicles on the road, starting in the Edmonton region, branching across Western Canada, all of Canada, within 5 years. We think we can do 5,000 just here. I think when we've talked to people about what this looks like, when we've said we need the whole, the whole value chain to be part of that, people don't often think, okay, the service centers are part of this, the dealerships are part of this, the training is part of this, we have mechanics able to work on it. Can you maybe just talk a bit about what that looks like for you and how you're shifting your own company to be ready for this?
Sure. So really appreciate the call to arms is what I call the 5,000 Truck Challenge. And I actually use it in I think akin to On the Podium back in Vancouver.
Oh, right.
And so you use that as an analog in terms of what had to happen. It starts with training.
Yeah.
You literally have to go upstream and make sure people are focused in 2006, 2007 for kind of being on the podium in 2010. And so we take a very similar view. And it starts with folks, young folks, kind of getting into this business. It also is got to be a coalition of the willing, and to be you've got to be OEM or original equipment manufacturer agnostic, or it's not going to work.
Right.
So I can tell you that we're going to step forward, and we are going to convert one of our bays, and we're working through regulations right now, but to have a hydrogen compliance. It has not been done before, so part of this will be working with obviously groups like the AMTA, who have been extraordinarily helpful and supportive of what we're doing in building this out. But going back to the service, support, and supply piece, in my mind, that's what missed 20 years ago. There was great technology, there was great willingness to do it, but the ecosystem was incomplete. The mosaic was incomplete. And that's why I go back to this on the podium concept. You needed to have these pillars and foundations for, I'm going to step forward and be an early adopter with a truck, but if it breaks down, where am I getting it fixed? Well, First Truck's going to step forward and be that group, but where do you actually get folks, technicians trained to be able to do this? Well, that's where NAIT and the Center of Excellence associated with what I characterize energy transition and where NAIT can play a role.
Yeah.
That's it, Chris.
That's a great throw to you, Agatha. Do you want to just maybe explain then what NAIT's doing to help prepare this workforce?
Absolutely. So NAIT is doing a lot already.
Yeah.
So we have an automotive service technician training. We have our heavy equipment technician training. And from our programs, we provide the red seals and the journeyman. So even to transition into hydrogen, fuel cell bus maintenance and all that, you still need your journeyman certificate. You still need that red seal. So we're providing the basic knowledge and the basic training that's needed.
It's still a car, it's still a truck,
It's still the
a
cars,
bus.
it's still the trucks. So students and people still need that foundational knowledge. But when we work with people in organizations like First Truck and other, like the Hydro Energy and in the AMTA and the CHFC and all these organizations that are really keyed into the energy transition, we're able to provide upskilling. And what's the next level of training that people need that are already qualified as Red Seals?
And Chris, if you don't mind, I'd like to follow
please.
on that. So the vision that we have is actually a micro-credentialed vision that wouldn't only be Red Seal, which would be your 4 years base, knowledge base, but actually I'm going to challenge industry to produce a green seal. And an ability for folks to recognize the fact that they have gone up and over and actually had a really good base in terms of EV, CNG, and hydrogen. And the opportunity for NAIT to be that center of excellence, to really start this out. I think NAIT can take this to the same spot that LEED took kind of the engineering profession in terms of where it's going. So this green seal is a term we're coining as part of the initiative that First Truck has to really help on the training initiative.
Wow, that's amazing. And I think, and I don't know how novel the approach is that NAIT takes, but when you talk to colleges and universities in other parts of the world, I don't hear the same kind of really deep connection to industry that NAIT has. Can you just speak? Is that something that really is unique? And I know it's a huge strength of NAIT.
Yes.
But to my mind, there's not very many people around the world that are doing that really deep industry work that you are.
And that is the absolute truth. So NAIT doesn't just talk the talk, we walk the walk as well. So we're very connected with industry in everything that we're doing. And that's why we're keyed into the energy transition. We think about what is that upskilling need that people need. And you know what? Where will we find that training? We have to go to the OEMs. We have to go to the SMEs that are in the industry and that are doing the deeds. And then work with them and figure out what they need and how we can help guide the energy transition through training. So as he's spoken about micro-credentials, I mean, these are conversations that I've had with Rod, where we want to go, and they are keyed in, and we are working together to figure out those training needs and deliver it as needed.
It really makes me think, again, it's a fairly new industry, especially the hydrogen fuel cell is really being demonstrated, and we actually have our next session is about the trucking industry and demonstration projects. There's a real strategic advantage for companies to come here, connect with NAIT, connect with service providers, figure out that other part of that value chain to de-risk their own operations, whether you're a Nikola or a Hyzon or Cummins or some of the hydrogen combustion engines that are coming out. Are you already working with a lot of these companies, both in terms of the service side and the training side?
From the training side, there are other companies that we are working with. And so what we're doing is we're learning.
Yeah.
Because this is actually the time where we just listen. And that's what we're doing right now. We're learning, we're doing research, we're engaging with industry, both people here in Canada and outside of Canada, and this conference just makes it a lot better. There are connections here from Denmark. That's brilliant. And there's so much that we can learn from Europe and people outside of here. So we are doing that, and we will continue to do that. So we can, create a solid product and learn and iterate and make our processes better, and then people can come and learn from us and carry on.
And from First Truck's perspective, this isn't going to work unless we're OEM agnostic. We need to be in a situation where, I keep going back to own the podium, means that everybody has got to pitch in as we do it. And as much as I appreciate kind of where government has gone in terms of kind of their challenge and laying it down, it's now time for business to step in, and it isn't going to work without kind of a very solid hand-in-glove type of partnership with training institutions. And I do think that NAIT sets up extraordinarily well as that kind of center of excellence to support the backbone of exactly where we want this to go.
Okay, wonderful. And we talked a bit about how big NAIT is and the students, and we haven't really talked about First Truck, though, in terms of that. So, when you're looking at international partners or partners from across Western Canada, give us a sense of kind of the size of First Truck, the kind of work that you're doing.
Sure, very prideful. We have 12 physical locations, 9 in the province of British Columbia, 3 here in the province of Alberta. We have roughly 700 employees that come to work every day as part of our fostering a better tomorrow vision that we have for our organization. That team is a mix of folks that run from sales to parts to technicians to body shop. It runs a gamut of kind of what a full service dealership model would look like. And so we spent a lot of time in terms of going upstream on technical training and spent a lot of time going downstream making sure our folks are extremely well trained from an OEM perspective. And so that's the backbone, is the training portion of it. But the other piece that it should never be kind of lost sight of is the safety component to it. It's key and critical from a cultural perspective. You do not make money hurting people. And that is something I underscore over and over again, is the criticality of that as we move forward in time. So First Truck, Canadian owned, very prideful of being Edmonton headquartered, and have been in business for a number of years. And so that platform, very happy to be leading, Chris.
Okay. So if we've got, whether it's, actually, let me back up. Is it trucking companies then that are your clients? Is it the manufacturers? Like, what is your, again, we've got people here from all over the world. Sure. We've got a whole mobility section where we've got trucks and buses and cars.
Sure.
What does your client look like?
Yeah, sure. So Freightliner, a truck brand, would be a supply to us. Western Star truck brand would be a supply to us. Thomas Bill Bus would be a supply to us. Autocar would be a supply to us. So a series of manufacturers would supply product to us on a preferential or area exclusion. Trucking companies, certainly bus kind of entities. Municipalities for dump trucks and any other kind of type of utility type vehicles would be customers of ours. And then, like I said, we are OEM agnostic as well. While we deal with Daimler, who is that manufacturer, we're prepared to pitch in and help anybody that has a problem. And that's why I believe that certainly the strategy we've laid out for our vision for where 5,000 trucks goes, I think we can be very helpful in this, because we aren't necessarily beholden to kind of any one brand. We see it as an ability to kind of lift everybody up, and that's how we're going to own the podium.
Yeah, and again, that's exactly what we're building. Is how do we bring everybody together? Whether you're competitors, for customers and markets, you can work together to make this happen. And if we bring the insurance companies, the finance companies, the infrastructure, the fueling stations, the service stations, the training, education, all of the and more and more and more together, then just have them all in the same room to say, okay, here's what our timeline looks like. Here's what our capital deployments look like. Here's the partnerships you can make to make it happen. We're going to move faster. It's going to be less risky. We're already seeing capital moving to help make this happen. So again, just so happy that the two of you are a part of this. We've only got a couple of minutes left. We've got, again, about 8,000 people here from around the world, more than 70 countries, more than 100 exhibits, including a mobility zone. One of the things I was kind of excited to see yesterday is a rocket engine. When we talk about the 5,000 vehicle challenge, we hadn't thought about rockets being part of that, but maybe. Are the things here that you're interested in seeing, people that you're like, oh, I really want to meet with that person or that company? What are the things that you're looking forward to here?
Being honest, I've worked a lot with people here virtually. And the best part of this conference is that I've got to meet them in person.
Yeah.
So solidifying those relationships, meeting people in person, I love this.
Yeah.
This is it. Because we will continue to engage with industry. And the people that we want to connect with, we do that. But this is making it more personable. Yeah. So.
Wonderful, love it.
Yeah, and for me, it is a holistic approach to kind of how it's going. So I appreciate kind of your observation of where we fit in terms of service, support, and supply. But to be able to go to talk to folks that are at the front end for fueling, or for technology, or for a variety of continuum of different types of fuels that are out there, that talk more broadly about where they fit into this ecosystem. It's having those conversations and discussions. It allows for a free flow of best practices. This is a new business, like it really is. And so what you need to do, in my mind, is to find folks, certainly that are passionate, and I keep going back to business, folks that are prepared to go the distance, such that this is kind of nice. I'm doing this off the side of my desk. No, you're either committed or you're not. Yep. And for the 5,000 vehicle, you've got to be able to go the distance, as the way I look at it. So having those kind of conversations, Chris, are extraordinarily helpful.
Yeah, wonderful. And again, Agatha, Rod, thanks so much for being part of this.
Thank you.
Really love what you're doing. Anything we can do to help, just say the word, because you're really leading in this space, and we need you to lead. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.